Good afternoon, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I want to check in with some news that I'm noticing locally here in my town where I live in Cloverdale, California. It's about 3 hours north of San Francisco for reference. And there has been some recent activity. I've mentioned this in other videos. Activity in the lines of occupation by state services of local real estate. It's kind of concerning. Let me explain what's going on. We have had a Methodist church for, I think, over a century here, a big famous one called the Ivy Church. It doesn't have Ivy anymore, but the point is that recently a group called La Familia, which is state-funded under Gavin Newsom's programs, swooped in and made an offer to the church council, who has been experiencing financial hardships for some time now. They actually laid off their pastor 2 Decembers ago, so going on the second year of not being in operation as a Methodist church. They swooped in La Familia, this program, which was already in town, but they were occupying a smaller office. They made an offer to the church council. I don't know how much the offer was, but it was agreeable enough so that the church council parted ways with the real estate. I have actually filed a report locally with our police department because it was not theirs to give away. Nobody has questioned this to my knowledge besides myself, but it turns out the land that this church is built on, it's a big historical landmark and a church that was in operation until last year as a church. That land was donated by local residents. A woman, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but she was here in town, a longtime local resident, over 100 years ago, I think, which is on record with the county of Sonoma, that she donated a large parcel, that parcel, and the adjoining one next door, which is now a park, a city park. The city annexed the parkland to become a park at one point, and it has been so. But the land that was connected to it, where the church is, was also part of that donation. And it was not for the church council to part with. It wasn't their property. It belongs to the Methodist Church in spirit and in literal financial legal terms. So here's what's going on. La Familia is not operating independently of the state here. They are with the guidance of a network of programs, including some other ones which I am going to show you right here. The North Bay Rapid Response Network is part of the network of programs that operate under the state of California, under Gavin Newsom. They advertise sanctuary and asylum for immigrants who are afraid of ICE and prosecution by law enforcement and immigration, customs, and enforcement. This group offers these business cards that say you can use these for your defense. They have some tips and suggestions on the cards themselves, some phone numbers you can call, but I believe the cards are tracked somehow. I don't know. The cards are the main thing of the program. They push the cards on every flyer that they send out in their website, and this is advertised also in the new La Familia presence at the church where they acquired this land. So they have converted the property at this point to be what is advertised as a support center for disadvantaged people, with emphasis on the Hispanic community. They are offering services as far as birth control is a huge one, and I'll circle back to this in a second because it's connected to the whole point of this video. They offer a big free vending machine. You can just roll up and take as many condoms as you want, and they still have the cross on the church if you're curious. And they do other things like toiletries and sanitary stuff. And I was concerned when I first saw this acquisition, because that used to be my church. That's what obviously got my attention, but I looked into it and there's something way more concerning now. It's a much bigger program, and you'll see here with these slides that this network is connected to a lot of other things that are going on. It looks to me, to get to the point, that the LGBTQ community is affiliated with state-funded programs at this point. They are consciously, deliberately, and actively acquiring church properties. I'm looking at the partners and sponsors for all of these programs, because they get state funding and they also get supplemental funding by partnerships with other churches that they partner with, they acquire, they provide services, and every single one of these other churches, which ranges from Methodist to Jewish. There's some temples and synagogues listed here, and they're all they have on their home pages for every single website a strong and pronounced affiliation with the LGBTQ community. They've got flags everywhere, and it's all about pride. And I just can't help but make the connection here, and I'm not passing judgment on the pride phenomenon or the respect and rights that everyone deserves, but I am noticing that there's quite an obvious agenda here that's getting very real and serious, including in my neighborhood, my local neighborhood here, where they are acquiring property that doesn't belong to them by making offers with state money for to obtain churches. Okay, I'm not misreading this. There's a long string of churches listed on their website that they have either partnered with or acquired completely, and the pattern is undeniable. I'm not making this up, so feel free to research it yourself, help me out, but this seems to be wildly biased. If it's actually state-funded, the problem here, the ultimate problem would be an affiliation with a very specific political party that is not democratic, that is not being advertised or disclosed in an appropriate way, and is obtaining and acquiring properties illegally. So that would be the final straw. For me, it's not legal that they should be able to bribe the church council here in my town and just squat on this property. And like what the police told me, I complained to the police. I said they have no claim to this land, nor was it the church council's to give to them. The police said, well, even if what you say is true, state employees, people who are on the state payroll, are above the law. It's what I was told. I couldn't believe my ears. They said there's nothing we can do because they literally pay us, and it would be a circular investigation. We cannot challenge our own bosses, they said. We're local police, and that's out of our jurisdiction. Even if it's something that's happening here in town, there's nothing we can do. I couldn't believe my ears. So is this true? I guess my question for anybody who sees this video, is there really no recourse when state programs such as La Familia, the North Bay Rapid Response Network, operating under Gavin Newsom, who is clearly partners with President Trump, as you'll see in this photo and other meetings and photos. He's a very close companion at this point with the President of the United States, who is famously against immigration, or famously deporting and funding and reviving the pointed deportations of everybody he considers questionable. Okay, so how is Gavin Newsom running a program that is aimed at providing sanctuary for questionable people while he's shaking hands with the same man who is persecuting them? Something doesn't add up here. Okay, so something doesn't add up, and it's connected to the churches, the acquisitions of these properties. I believe that there is something going on. Okay, now I don't have all the details, but you can see for yourself. This evidence speaks for itself. There's an attempt to subvert the democratic process, if nothing else. There is an illegal attempt to squat on and to obtain properties that aren't for sale, that have been donated by local residents to the church itself. I believe that there's more to it that is also illegal, and I think this should be concerning, especially if you care about human rights and churches in your own community, if nothing else. So I would welcome comments below to any of the comments that I have made in this video, and reach out if you like. Thank you. Have a great day.